My screen got really bright.
And we're live.
And we're live.
I'm on the sun.
Hello and welcome to the 70th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Matty Allen with Tobiwan Hexobi and ChrispyMan of hexfire.io. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry, my lighting just went super crazy as soon as you went. Like in the green room, it wasn't bad, and then all of a sudden,
I like
good
it.
to see you guys. Glad to be here, man. It's been an exciting week.
Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah,
good
so
stuff.
excited.
Hey, I really liked your stream with RG and Kinetics. It's like I mean, number one, I hate watching myself on, so I rarely watch anything that I've been on. But I don't really watch a lot of content. But that was really engaging. I thought that was a really good interview to see, the unity of the most well-known streamers, which is you three guys, and and you got Hexo and some other guys in the mix, of course. But to have you guys kind of unifying your energies all toward this common goal, it was very heartwarming and good.
Yeah. Well, it's been probably a year or two since the three of us had been on screen. So yeah, it was real cool. And if you haven't checked out that episode, make sure to check it out. I got tons of details about the documentary through interviewing RG3 and Kinetics. And yeah, definitely exciting. If you're watching now or on the replay, now's the time to validate the like button or get out. And you better be subscribed too.
That's right. There are rules to this game. There are levels. So what's on the agenda, man? It's like it looks like we're selling off a little bit. Me and my TA stuff. It's like I'm having a difficult time sharing my screen. It's like it's just being a bitch, but I tweeted it out earlier, so if anyone wants to check it out on Twitter, I've kind of laid out my thoughts around it. But yeah, it looks like we had a pretty good pump from the announcement on the 11th up until the peak of that pump, and we kind of rounded over, falling back down, getting some support kind of around the 21 EMA. So I think that's pretty expected. And then as more news comes out and more dates are released and there's more buzz, it's like I think all that'll translate to more momentum upward personally. But I just got some new dry powder today because I'm a full Hex degen and can't stop buying Hex. So I found some more money and got it into my account today. So it's like I'm watching my own DCA strategy with these charts to kind of determine smart dips to buy. Not financial advice. Everyone's got to do their own thing. But I mean, I think we are in a very unique time as far as opportunity with being able to accumulate at these levels. So, but that's exciting.
I think you're right.
So, yep.
Yeah. So I know that we'll be able to get into all of that. And the one thing that I promised from the title and the thumbnail of the stream, we can get right into that, is I calculated myself today based on gopulse.com and CoinMarketCap. I calculated where would Hex be in the rankings and Pulse Chain. Where would it be in the rankings of all the cryptos in the world based on market cap, which we all know is a very real metric that doesn't have any vanity to it at all. And, it's like all that good kind of stuff. I say sarcastically, but if you take out the two stable coins that are in the top 10, I was shocked. Pulse Chain is what? What does it say in the thumbnail? Pulse Chain is number 6, number 5. If you take out the stables, because it's got a market cap of like 14, or it's got a market cap of 15 billion. And then Hex is the number 6 crypto with a market cap of 14 billion. If you include the OA. Now, if you don't include the OA, those numbers drop down to like number 34 or something. But I think those are both really great rankings for something that to me doesn't have worldwide adoption yet, isn't as well known even in the crypto world, isn't on the front page of CoinMarketCap. There is no ranking website that's popular amongst crypto users that has these things, in my opinion, accurately labeled. And so, I mean, I was kind of shocked. What do you guys think?
I'm not shocked because it's like, I mean, I've been in it so long. I think intuitively I kind of feel like where we belong in those rankings. It's like at much to your sarcastic point about it being a vanity metric, it is and it isn't. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah,
Mm.
we understand like the breakdown of like why it's a vanity metric and why that term even exists, but unfortunately, there's a large proportion of people that pay attention to those things. It's like, I mean, way back when I was trading stocks and stuff, it's like, I looked at the movers for the day, and like it wasn't just the percentage movers. I would do it based on market cap because it's like maybe I didn't want to play with something that's had a really tiny market cap. I didn't want to mess with the micro cap stuff because the volatility is too much and it could get to a point where I'm taking unnecessary risks. So I felt more comfortable trading like blue chips, right? Well, how do you determine a blue chip? It's the stuff with the highest market cap. So that's kind of the prevailing traditional logic. So I can see where it has value to people when they're looking at those things, and especially if you're talking to brand new people in the space, or even current crypto people, and bring that to their attention. I think it's valuable to be like, hey, you realize like worst case scenario, we're number 34 out of tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies. It's like that's something of note. I mean, maybe you need to look into this a little closer, and maybe you've been turned off for whatever reason, or maybe you weren't even aware of it at all. But given those kind of metrics, given those numbers, that gets people's attention. Like they take it more seriously, right? It's like even my traditional finance friends, like if I showed them that it's ranked 5, they would be like, wait, what? It's like
Yeah.
they would forego their thoughts of like, well, where does Bitcoin get its value? It's just printed out of thin air. What's it backed by? Like all that silly shit. So it's like but then you show them that, and then like their greed bone perks up in their neck, and they're like, I gotta go buy me some of that number whatever coin. So yeah, it's like, I mean, I think it has value for sure.
ChrispyMan, is market cap, is it a vanity metric, or what do you think?
Market cap is one of the most important metrics that exist on the face of the earth. Right?
Alrighty then.
That's it. That's right. That's right. Hey, listen, I think it's important. I think it's good just that we see it. Do I personally ever look at market cap? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I'll look, particularly now that I'll want to peruse the what's going on the Pulse chain. I'll look and see what the total market cap is and whatnot. But taking a step back, coming in from the outside, there's still a lot of people orientated that way. They're not instructed yet that market cap by itself that is meaningless. So yeah, it's still going to be important because some people won't pay attention until you see that. But for us, I don't think it matters to us. But at least we talk that way, right? But then again, you did calculate the market cap and put it into the thumbnail, so I guess it must mean something to us, right?
Yeah. Well,
it's got some angle.
I hope so. Yeah, and it definitely interested me when I realized that today, and I see somebody in the chat saying that it's been 1 year since RH was on stream. That's false, good sir. It's been 7 months and 9 days. Not that anybody's counting,
Right.
but
7 months and 9 days.
It was January 9th, 2023 on this channel, no less. So now if you're thinking 1 year, you might be thinking of the Pulse conference from last year on this channel was July 14th through 16th, which was the 1 year anniversary of the Pulse chain sacrifice beginning. And we did, we had, I don't know, 30 or 50 different YouTube channels participate in that one. And that one was the one where RH did the most outrage marketing he's ever done on my channel. And we weren't too sure about that. But Brisology says it's been 84 years. Feels like it. Yeah.
It could. Can you imagine?
I miss Brisology. I'm looking forward. He's coming back neck week, I think.
Next week, I think.
Yeah, cool, man.
Does he get out of jail or?
I had to go to count his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to work.
No, I'm kidding.
Something.
But I would.
Cool. Hey, I got my chart.
would
I got my chart to work. How about them out?
So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, market cap is like a vanity metric in one way, and in other ways, it's bragging rights.
Well, do you know what I think? I think what it
Got its
equates to
work.
too is the whole scarcity mindset
So-
in regard to token supply.
My internet's cutting in and out.
Oh no.
I guess I should sign up for fiber or something.
Yeah. bro, what do you do?
So when you, Toby, when you do the charts, when you look at
Yes.
charting,
Yeah, Toby. What do you do when you look at charting?
Thanks, Crispy, for tagging in. Maddie has frozen. Basically, I mean, I use various things. It's like there's different indicators, like paid indicators I use, and some other, stuff that is more common, like RSI and those types of things, stochastics and that kind of stuff. I look at more kind of on my own because that's more of a deep dive than I feel confident talking about publicly. And there are people that do it way better than I do and understand how to explain it better, like people that I learned from. So it's like I leave that to them. The thing I think is more accessible for people and is just kind of more fun is almost like a hobbyist level way of doing TA. It's kind of like when I used to play blackjack. It's like there's card counting methods, and there's certain card counting methods that are very complex, where you're literally keeping track of every single card that has been shown in the game, and they all have various point values, anywhere from like a -5 to a +5. And you as you see every single card that's come out on every single person's hand, including the dealer, you have this running calculation in your mind, like doing all of that math, and then using that to determine probabilities of the likelihood of a 20 or a 21 on the next hand is more or less how that works. And then there's very simple methods, which are like there's one called the red 7 count, and it's like literally you have a +1 or -1 calculation for like all 10 value cards or aces have a -1 value, and anything 1 through 6 has a +1 value, and red 7s have a +1. So even that gets complicated to keep track of the running count. But
ChrispyMan had to take away his face because he doesn't want to be associated with gambling. So,
well, I'm just saying.
I like gambling.
I'm giving the different or the example of how there's a complex way that can give you much better rates. Better rates. So let's say you get a 3.5% house edge, but if you play perfectly at this higher count level, but it's a lot more stressful and it's a lot more detail. Or you can use the simpler method and maybe you only get like a 2.75 or 3% house edge. So you might think like, well, heck, I'm almost at the level of these other guys and I'm doing a way simpler method. So that's worth it to me to not like wipe my brain out and be able to play longer or whatever. And I'm getting almost as good a results. I think that's okay. Guys that are playing really high dollar limit and stuff, it's like that little 0.5% is huge. So it's like they're going to put in the extra effort. So that's kind of my example between like really advanced TA. Like if you ever watch Crown Crypto, Eric Crown, he's got indicators on top of his indicators, and they're all fantastic, and they can really show you some stuff and give you indications of what something's going to do and like to what extent. Pattern trading is kind of the common man's way to look at things. It's easy for someone to spot a triangle or a parallel channel, and it does more often than not work out very similarly to how these more advanced methods are kind of indicating, a direction something's going to go or how far something's going to go in a particular direction. So that's where I just kind of focus on the simple to keep it accessible and fun for people. And then the long story short on this is that, the idea behind it ideally is so people like it can temper their exuberance. So like if they see it going, it's like, oh, it's going to the moon. And then they FOMO in and they're buying green candles, and when maybe they should temper it a bit and like continue to DCA and wait for like things to cool off. And the TA that I do shows you kind of areas where you're likely to see resistance. Like, yeah, we're running and we're going to go about to here, but there's a chance that's where people are going to sell off. And the reason I know that is because of previous patterns, and other pattern traders and other traders make these patterns self-fulfilling prophecies because they're all looking at the same stuff. So if everyone's saying, hey, there's resistance at 1.4 cents, bet your bottom dollar, all the traders either have alerts set there to sell at 1.4 cents or they already have limit orders set there. So then it makes it a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when we hit 1.4, those sells are triggered and we come back down, right? And then it's like, well, wait a minute. Now we have a floor or support at 1 cent. So what happens? Traders have their alert set or their limit order set at 1 cent, And then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and boom, everybody's like, what? It bounced off of 1 cent. How did that happen? It's like, because we're all looking at the same shit. We're all looking at the same patterns. So that's where it can be kind of eerily accurate, and I think infinitely fun. And plus, it kind of scratches my trading itch because I can see it, and it's almost like paper trading for me, because it's like I'm doing it, but I'm not really risking anything because I'm not selling. It's like I'm just using it to DCA in, and it's making me have more informed buys. So that's where I'm always kind of like, when I talk about my stuff, it's like it's informed DCA. It's not just dollar cost averaging, just mindlessly every day thrown in. It's like, look at the chart and see, like, maybe today is a little better day than tomorrow, or vice versa. So I just got another influx of dry powder. I'm looking at these levels now. I think we're at a good level of support. Do I see us maybe dipping down to the point 083 area again? If you want to bring up my chart, you can. I think that that's possible. It's like we wicked there yesterday. It's like we seem like we got some pretty good support on the middle of the channel we're currently in. And we are just barely below the white wedge that we've been in for 2 years. So, I think that there's a lot of things lining up that would indicate to me that we'll probably be moving back to the upside. But even the downside move, like the low on this just takes us back to that 007 area, which we've already visited a couple of times. So I'm not too concerned. Now, if we broke that level, I think there would have to be some black swan event or something really negative that would occur that would cause that. And personally, not financial advice, of course, but I think everything's just lining up with, more people talking about it and more people curious. Look at people buying meme coins, right? It's like they hear somebody do a tweet about it one time, and what do? They go buy a bag, right? Because they're like, oh, man, that's my moon bag. Well, as more people learn about HEX, it's like there's going to be those types that are just like, oh, well, there's buzz around this. I'm going to buy it. Now, are those people likely to sell as soon as they're in profit? Probably. But there's some of them that are going to dig in and understand the whole thing. They're going to dig deep, and they're going to learn about TShares and become long-term investors. So that's kind of my impetus with, my contribution with TA and talking about DCAing.
Yeah, kind of backing up a little bit with what you said. Interesting. I have a couple charts that I follow that are very HEX related, of course, because that's what I do. Work on HEX like stuff. But anyways, you can see that we were losing wallets that were holding liquid in HEX while the price was going down. As soon as the price started going up, it started going up too. So very much what you're kind of describing is the people getting involved because they see more of the token, they hear more about it, and they go up and they get in. And that happened, by the way, on both chains, not just the best chain.
Which one is the best?
I don't know. Maddie, don't put me on the spot like that.
If we're talking about chains, I think Pulse is the best chain.
But they both went up.
Yeah, but I think HEX has tremendous value on both.
I hate to say, I thought I had this concept that came into my head, something about sending HEX to myself in the future. I've never heard anybody really talk about that before, but this whole idea that you can actually stake HEX and send it in the future, I just rediscovered that, Maddie. That was kind of a joke, but obviously not. You're not getting that because you send HEX to yourself in the future all the time, but. I think that we're really still pretty early, right? In that we're going up at a pretty good clip, 30, 40 wallets a day. But that's not tens of thousands of users yet. So in my mind, it seems like we're still pretty early. I'm also seeing a pretty hard swing, at least in chit chat, with people now beginning to search for more yield. I've maintained for a long time HEX is the place to get the yield. It's the place to get the yield, and I think that's why it's going to be sticky and attract the value. There's some side thoughts on this.
Everybody who is staking Quattro Cinco, they thought they were the shit, and they are. But now I'm trying to wrap my head around the next fucking pro game, which is time locking for 20 years, time locking for 30 years with Time Pays Me. And that's actually like a whole process in and of itself for me, because I'm like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and take my key management to the next level. I'm going to set up my recovery address. I'm going to, and it's kind of in a trailblazing sort of way. It's like, all right, I want to be able to guide others on what to do. And so that's kind of, where I've been putting my attention lately is just trying to think about security for the next 55 years. And, nothing's perfect. And I know that 55 years like upsets a lot of people, but look, I'm only staking $100 or $1,000 for 55 years. I'm not staking everything. So, but yeah, I mean, like when we're talking about trading and gambling versus like the long-term perspective and everything in between, it's really exciting. And then, I've also been thinking to myself, like, well, what do I want to be locking with Hex? I mean, I might as well do DESI, that's a 10-year Hex, a tokenized perpetual, which I've been thinking about as well. So a slight digression, though, I did want to congratulate fellow Hexican Alec Torelli for getting 11th place in some gambling competition with like poker. I guess he walked away with, it was out of 10,000 players, and he was everybody was gambling with $10,000, and he walked away with 700,000, coming in 11th place. So that's really cool. And I don't know if this advertisement is saying that he got a 6,900% return on his investment. But yeah, definitely cool to have a fellow Hexican in there. And I think those numbers are more common in crypto than they are in poker, but there you go.
Diggity. Congratulations to him.
Yeah. Toby, you're muted, but
I hope he puts it all into Hex.
I know, right?
Yeah, right. That'd be nice.
Market buy.
Safer bet than going back to the tables, that's for sure. So congrats to him. It's exciting stuff.
Do you guys remember when he streamed with RH?
His face seems vaguely familiar, but I honestly don't recall the stream. I'll have to go back and try to find it.
It was a good one. There was him and another Hexican were doing that stream together with RH.
Cool.
I think at the time it was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Really?
I'll have to,
surprisingly.
to go dig around and find it. It's fun to kind of go back and look at some of the old streams sometimes, because it's, the new stuff. I mean, I don't consume a lot of the YouTube content, honestly, but it's like that. It seems like it's all just such rampant speculation. It's like 98% of what I do stumble across. It's, I mean, I think the game theory gang, we do a pretty good job about talking about like the game theory and like the strategies that make sense. And, it's not just moon math or gloom and doom or, hedging plays or whatever. It's like, I kind of like what we do here. That's why I contribute. But,
Hell yeah.
But there's a lot of the others just seem like it's just rampant speculation and just kind of gets a little boring for me. So the old streams where Richard, you kind of get to see the philosophy behind like what he's doing, and it's kind of like goes along with what I've been screaming about on Twitter, which is like back to basics. Like I think that's
100%.
one of the things that everybody needs to be thinking about. And I know stuff like, that Crispy does and that I do is like, and not Maddie as much because he's more engaging, but it's like the TA stuff and the chart stuff that Crispy does. I can see a lot of people, they just kind of glaze over. It's a little boring to them. Maybe they don't understand it. They don't like, all the
I
the
disagree.
math.
I think
like-
there's a
I
specialized
like how you slipped me in there. I'm sad.
Well, I mean, I think
this conversation.
I mean, I'm just saying,
I
it's like
I
there's a
disagree.
subset. I mean, come on, Crispy, you got to know. There's a subset of math nerds that love you,
dude.
like you're their king, right? They probably got a picture of you on their fridge. And then
Yes.
there's TA guys that maybe like
I-
really hold me in high regard. But it's like,
Only on OnlyFans.
If you don't have a picture of him on your fridge,
only
what are you
charts.
doing?
Right.
Get it together, folks.
Oh, dude, wait. I
Get the
got
picture
something
out.
that's pretty hilarious. My fiance and I were talking about this just before I came on, but I was trying to explain to her. I'm like, yeah, it's like, that's marketing, and these girls probably have OnlyFans or whatever. And it's like the whole NPC player deal where there's like,
Oh, yeah.
I think Hexlena posted it first, and there was like this cute little blonde girl, and she was like like I think it's like some sort of anime character where they're like eating fruit and stuff. She's like nom 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 nom, and then like it's like, oh, thank you, for the bananas, thank you for the strawberries, nom nom, and does it like for hours on end, and apparently makes like thousands of dollars in tips on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm guessing that's probably like marketing for other services she may or may not render. But what's his head? Your friends, your friend Sami, he did one with Gary Gensler's head on it, and I laughed so hard. She thought there was something wrong with me. Like, are you okay? And I was just losing it. It's
Wait
like,
a minute.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's so funny. But then her and I were going back and forth talking about the whole ridiculousness of it. And I'm like, hey, how many people would like tune into my TikTok? A 51-year-old man with like a ridiculous mustache, like doing that with hex logos, like nom 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 nom. It's like accumulate, 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 and it just be the most ridiculous shit.
Comments for you. Sami is an NPC to start with, so.
Oh right, yeah, he's an AI.
He's not real.
It's like an inception. Of
AI, I'll tell you what, but his team sends me really good messages when I DM him. How about that? Yeah. Hey, don't pick on those. I don't know if it's actually a girl, but don't pick on those NPCs too much. They aren't necessarily doing that. That was in this month's YouTube as one of the top trends in YouTube right now is the NPC character thing. So
Wouldn't you be pissed if like you were one of the first people that did it and you were just found this crazy little niche and we're like making bank on TikTok and now like everyone's doing it? So,
yeah,
like
but
it's going to jump the shark pretty quick. I think.
I used to sell rocks, so.
And somebody You're slinging rock?
And somebody
was slinging rock? What?
Yeah.
In the 80s in South Central.
Yeah, that's right.
Boys in the hood had a do-rag on, like hanging out on street corners.
But you never know one of these things is going to take off, right?
True.
Who would have thought crack would have been a big thing, man?
It's different.
I got out early.
Different kind of fire back then, right?
Oh man.
That's funny, dude.
Going back to the basics and the point that we're all here, I've been noticing it more when streamers have been on point. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's them, but there's been Crypto Coffee stands out. Hexologist went live today. There's a handful of people who are delivering the same message that they've delivered. They're presenting it better than ever, and they're just talking a lot of sense in the face of, let's say, uncertainty, fear and doubt, people not knowing, how things are going to go in the next 6 months or the next year. And so I've been really appreciative of all the awesome content that's been out there lately. And I know that Hexologist went live today. I couldn't stop laughing. If you haven't seen that stream,
I haven't, not yet.
You've got to see it. He's like roasting RG3 so hardcore. He's like making fun of himself and people in chat, and just it's like classic Hexo. Cool. So that was super refreshing.
He's good.
And he said that he is going. He's going to go to the highest of stakes, I think, in Florida.
Oh, cool.
And so he announced that. And then I know that we're going to be having a meetup in Chicago this weekend. And I hope anybody who's watching, who's in the Chicago area, there's Pulse. It's a Pulse Chain Tour. Is it pulsechaintour.com or the Pulse Chain Tour?
That's right. I think that's right.
Pulsechaintour.com. It's actually being hosted by not me, so I think I'm going to be there, and I'm not going to be running the event, so it's going to be like a totally different Maddie. So that'll be cool. I know Johnny Chaos will be there.
You're going to be an NPC for the day?
Dude, if I didn't have a wedding, I'd totally come up, but I've got a wedding I got this weekend, so I cannot make it, unfortunately.
And so definitely come out if you can on Saturday to the Pulse Chain Tour. And we can kick it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Maddie, I acknowledge your feelings about how great everything is, but I'm mad as hell.
Oh, no.
Yes.
And you're not mad about it anymore?
I'm
mad at
mad. I'm mad.
and
I'm
you're
not
not gonna
really
take
mad.
it.
I guess I'm not mad. I have a huge opportunity. It's awesome, man. So here's my opportunity. I have this contract I discovered called HEX, where I can buy HEX and stake it, and I actually get yield.
No
And
way.
if I was, yes, yeah, believe it or not. And not only that, dude, it pays at such a rate that when you buy it and stake it during the bear at low prices, that when we go through a whole nother cycle and it goes back to the next low, you still make more money. It's crazy. You make more reward. It's crazy.
More
But
HEX or more dollars or more what?
more both by my estimation, based on past, assuming past performance occurs in the future. But what's crazy about it is I have a complete onslaught. I say it all the time with everybody I'm talking to. Every day, everybody's telling me staking's dead. Don't stake. Staking's dead. Anyways, that's the time to stake, my friends. That's the time to stake. I think that's not financial list, but I mean, I'm still staking. I'm in there. I'm not getting out of that stuff because I know that you probably have experienced it, Maddie. I think you have. I mean, Toby said as much. I got a boatload more HEX now than I did during the last cycle.
Yep.
Would you believe that the majority of my ROI, I believe, I don't know if it's provable, but the majority of my ROI comes from staking, not because I get yield, which is sweet, but because I don't sell too early.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I believe that.
Yep.
Because I don't think I could have held on this long with the ups and with the downs. For you guys, is it harder? I don't know if you hold any liquid at all. For me, I'm on a staking ladder, so I have some coming out every year, and but I still want to hold on to the liquid even when it comes out. I don't want to sell it right away, and then I get to experience this emotion of, the market's going up and down, and how difficult it is to hold when the market's going down, how difficult it is when the market's going up. And but still knowing that I have time locked HEX going forward into the future is a pretty good feeling. But do you guys think that it's harder for yourself or for most people to hold when the price is going down or when the price is going up?
I think it's challenging in both regards. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he had gotten shaken out during the buck fiat candle when we the launch was announced, and bought right back in on the same candle and basically got wrecked, just lost a big proportion of his bag because he sold in a panic and then bought back when he saw it going back up. So that in a little microcosm, literally within a day, can show.
Do you know how much he lost? 10%, 20% more?
I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was close to 30% of his bag.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a pretty substantial hit from if I remember correctly, what his exit was and what his reentry was. So doing the quick math in my head, it was around 30%. So yeah, and it was so that sucks because it's it takes you a long time to earn that yield. It takes you a long time to earn that money if you're buying in, and then you blow it on a hasty trade. So my encouragement to him when he bought back in, which was just luckily as these recent pumps were happening, I told him it's likely to dip back down. So so you don't get freaked out. It's it's a big enough bag. I'm do the math. I'm it would make sense to just at least do a short stake, So, I mean, there are cases where, maybe you don't want to protect your, you don't want to throw it to your future self, way out there, because maybe you already have a staking ladder, or you're just a little skeptical of what the future holds, or you think maybe a pump is coming and you want to have that liquid available. So, what I encourage my onboards and friends and family to do is do the math. It's if you look at it, it's I mean, you could literally go to go.hex.com, put in the number of HEX you're thinking of staking and for how long, and say, okay, I want to do this for 60 days. The math is super simple. It's you say, okay, this is going to earn me 10 TShares. Well, what's the average HEX per TShare per day payout? It's about 6.5 HEX per day. So if I've got 10 TShares, I multiply that times 6.5, and then you multiply that by how many days you're thinking about doing it. So you're okay, I'm going to do it for 60 days. So I'm just going to do the math really quick so I don't just sound like an idiot.
3600.
So basically, Is it 3,600 hex? So basically, yeah. So you got 10 TShares times 6.5 times 60 days. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry. 6.5 times 10 times 60 equals 3,900 is going to be how many T-shares that you're going to get in that period of time for 10, or how many hex you're going to get for that many T-shares. So you're like, okay, if this is on the hex side, then that's trading, let's say if it's trading around the same, you're at about a penny. So you're going to make 39 bucks, right? So you have to look at that and then estimate what that gas fee is going to be. So if the gas is such that, to end that short stake is going to be, 20, 30, 40, $50, then you don't want to do that, right? That doesn't make any sense. Economically, that is dumb. But if your bag is big enough and maybe you're not getting 10 T-shares, but you're getting 50, so instead of getting, $40, you're getting $200, then maybe it makes sense to pay a $20 gas fee to end that short stake. And it makes sense to do a rolling stake, kind of protect yourself from yourself for the next 60, 90 days until you feel a little more comfortable with where things are going with the news around the movie or whatever else, or just the bull market in general ticking up. And then you don't get shaken out in this sideways bumpy volatility in the meantime. So, because there's a lot of people, it's funny because it's like so many of my own boards, it's like they insisted on doing some short stakes, like 6 months, whatever. And I'm like, it's like, you want to do at least 2 years and then try to get some stuff out there, 5, 5, 5, 5, and then fill in the gaps, right? And make a ladder. And without fail, almost all of them originally, like in the first couple of years, were like, dude, I just wish I had done longer stakes. Why did I do these shorter stakes? So,
Yeah.
And now it's kind of shifted a little bit because there's people that are like, I had these long stakes and I was so tied up, I couldn't take advantage and take any profit. So that kind of brings in a whole other wrinkle of like, how much of your bag do you stake and how much do you hold liquid, right? It's like me, I do kind of a 90-10 rule. So I'm 90% staked at any given time and about 10% of my bag's liquid, just to be able to capitalize. If that 10% is big enough, then I'm doing rolling stakes. And, because then that way I'm making some yield and I still have relatively quick access to those funds. Or if in my staking ladder I have something coming out in the next month or two anyhow, then I might throw that liquid bag out further because I'm like, well, effectively my next stake acts as my rolling stake because it's coming out in 2 months, right? Or whatever. So it's like there's a lot of little factors in there if you're not even a math nerd, just someone that wants to spend time thinking about how to maximize the opportunity. And like Crispy was saying, it's like, I think it's the hidden gem in the whole deal. I mean, it's at the core of the whole Richard Hart ecosystem for a reason. And, I don't know how long like the bounty of yield farming is going to last. I'm not sure how that all plays out. But it's kind of like Alex was saying when he was on with us last week. It's this disbursement of this economic energy across so many different options now within the ecosystem, whether it's just Richard Hart's 5 tokens or other stuff that's now available, whether you're doing liquidity farming or yield farming or whatever, like on a whole other platform or liquidity providing on another platform. It's like all of it's just spreading out that economic force, right? So obviously everything's going to move up slower since it's more decentralized, but that's not necessarily bad long term. I think that builds a base for us to be even bigger and stronger. That's why Richard's not talking shit about any of the other things. I think that, he realizes that this is part of it, right? Like we can't just have one DEX. It's going to be good that there's other DEXs, Is PulseX the big kid on the block and probably likely to be? It's like, yeah, but it's like
that could be a whole debate whether we need more than one DEX. But speaking to time locking, I like I like what you're saying about the considerations that you put in when it comes to HEX and making sure your onboards know the difference between the gas fees and like how to calculate what ROI they're getting. The thing that's really on my mind that I'm probably going to talk about more in HEX therapy and in the coming couple of weeks is like, for me, I know I need to get my pulse locked or I will sell it on a 2x. I know I need to do that. And so when I look at like my experience with staking HEX, that's how I know that as much as I would love to like believe, oh, I've got diamond hands and like I can do it this time and all that kind of stuff. Like I know I'm not going to have the opportunity to buy at these prices forever. At least I hope not. I'm not going to be able to hold on to this number of coins unless I use time locking as my superpower. And so even though I've been like kind of teasing people, not teasing, but just like, you know, kind of blowing people's minds with like, yeah, I'd be willing to do 1% of my bag for 55 years. What I'm thinking of doing, even with like half of my pulse, is to even lock it for a year. And then I know that I'm getting out every week, 1% of my bag is coming back to me. So I'm never going to miss the opportunity to be able to sell a little bit, but I'm not going to be wanting to sell too much all at once. And I've even considered doing what I've gotten to in HEX, which is like, maybe I do want to have it all locked. Maybe I want to have it all locked because one, we're going to want to sell more than 1% in a week. I mean, even if I look back on like the all-time high of HEX, if you look at how high we were going, I mean, it was a month pretty much, I would say. It was at least probably a month that we were sitting at really high numbers. And I mean, if you look at how far we went up, anyway, you know, like what's going to be right for one person isn't going to be right for everybody else. But I hope that I can provide an example to other people of one way to look at it so that I don't get wrecked from trading and that I get to stay in the game long term. It's going to be really interesting to see what strategies emerge from that and how it compares to HEX.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, and well, there's layers to it. And I mean, that's where I'm really grateful of, you know, all of the kind of the core tenant guys that we have in the community. I mean, yourself included, Maddie, but you know, like Coffee out there just grinding it out. It's like I ended up being on that stream with you and Claz and Big K the other morning, which was super fun. Dude, I'm not a morning guy, so that was a little rough. I felt like I was having a stroke at one point. Too much caffeine and nicotine gum just to be awake. I'm like stuttering through my stuff. But definitely, you know, I wake up when the sun goes down, it seems. But that was super fun, and like to be on there with him was great because it's like, you know, he's a grinder. I mean, he has been out there putting out consistent content forever, right? And I mean, he is like one of the OG of the OGs, you know, to apply himself that way. And, you know, just like you and then Hexo, you know, as you mentioned, and others that are out there doing something that's really hard for me to do. It's like, you know, newsflash, I'm a little ADD. It's like, ooh, squirrel, what? Right? It's like, it's really, really hard for me to like not get distracted and like tangent off on things. So I'm not the guy, right, that you want to be on stream every week telling you the same thing because I would blow my brains out. I just couldn't do it. So I have such respect for the guys that can get in there and just be that guiding solid, you know, that core island of like, you know, if I want to know or I want to send somebody to hear a stream about how to do these things, there it is. And you know, but it's like in person, it's different. It's like I can sit down with somebody one-on-one. I can get on a phone call. We can go through the details of the thing and make sure that they understand. It's just hard for me to do that on stream. So it's like I'm really super appreciative of those guys that are leading the charge. And I would encourage, you know, everyone. It's like, you know, the number one way that I think we can move the ball forward at this point, I think get behind what's going on with the movie. Like get your local market sold out, right? It's like if that theater's not sold out, you got nobody to blame but yourself. If you're sitting on Twitter bloviating about, you know, all of your speculative ideas or complaining about this or that or you know, trying to onboard on Twitter, it's like good luck. You know, you're going to do so much more good if you actually get out in the real world, talk to some people about the movie, find some friends, some family. It's like I would encourage you to get people that are no coiners to come and get their opinion of it. See if it's something they're interested in, because it's like, you know, all of that's going to help move the ball forward. For anybody out there, do the math. Tickets $13.50. How many theaters are there? How many seats are in each theater? This is not a big moneymaker for the High Stakes crew at all. This is absolutely a marketing effort to like show that we are not bots. This is proof of humans, right? That are out there in the world that really are interested in this stuff and interested in crypto and interested in HEX and interested in DeFi and interested in Richard. And then that is going to be that, what we can do to really get a global market with a streaming service, right? It's like we can go and put that in front of them and show them Maddie's 40-hour live stream where he's bouncing all over the country, where people are, I'm going to be in Dayton, like filming people coming out of the movie and getting their reactions. It's like, I'm going to be in Austin with Maddie, doing similarly. It's like all that stuff then gets presented to like a Netflix or a major streaming system of some sort. It'll be undeniable, right? And then that's where, we break the bubble and we're in the real world and people are talking about it around the water cooler, right? And it's like, that's what we want. And the way that you can do something about it is like, look at your local theater. Are there seats available? Do you know 5 people that might be interested in going? Tell them about it. If you can't afford the tickets to buy for them, hopefully they can buy their own ticket, but if you can afford it, that would be pretty cool to be like, hey man, I got some free tickets to this thing. You want to come with me? Or, would you rather go another day? Here's some tickets. It's like, that's totally fine. It's like, it's about it's not about selling the theater out. It's about getting people in the theater. Right. So it's like, I'm looking at ways locally.
I've got a good one.
Yeah.
I've got tickets for free for people to come to Austin and to go to the conference that we're having at the Westin in downtown Austin, and then to go to the movie with us. And I know it's going to be a really great experience. There are still some tickets left. So go ahead. If you know anybody in Austin, Texas, send them the link to plsaustin.com, or consider being like some of the amazing streamers that we have in the community. Whether you stream or not, you're welcome to travel to Austin. I know that we're going to have Fashion Coder, Gamma DevOps, Funding Jim, and Tobiwan and a bunch of other people
David Feeder,
descending on Austin to celebrate.
Yep. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. And it's like, and we have to be really careful with how it's funny because it's like, when you're dealing with big organizations like Regal Cinemas and stuff, you got to be careful with the wording of how you market things or how you describe things. So, it's Maddie's event is a separate thing from the movie. They just happen to be for a similar audience, right? And it's just more convenient for us to be able to distribute the tickets. I helped Maddie, and another Hexagon kind of pitched in to help Maddie do all of this, so he wasn't just like bleeding money to provide all this for free. So we thought, hey, he's putting his blood, sweat, and tears in. How can we help? So, we help finance that. And then I'm going to be there physically to kind of help with the distribution. But the idea is like just to keep us from going crazy and for me losing more of my hair. It's like, it's easier probably for you guys to just come to the conference. If you want to hang out, great. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, but that's where you'll be to like pick those tickets up is what the plan is at this point. And we're working out the details of that now. And, but yeah, it's like,
you go to plsaustin.com.
So you'll know where to go, right? Yep. Then you sign up there, and then that way you can enjoy the conference if you'd like. It's free. If for you don't have time for the conference and you just want to come by to get a free ticket, you're welcome to do that too. And we'll have more details around that as it comes. But yeah, so like that's the thing. Like for me locally, it's like I'm gonna do like Grant is an Ohio boy now. So he is doing the Friday show while I'm in Austin. He'll be doing the Friday show in Dayton.
Cool.
My sister and I will be hosting it on Saturday. So what I was looking into doing was like looking at local investment clubs, because it's like, there are people that are forward thinking, a lot of times younger people that are looking at investment strategies for their retirement. What a great subset of people that would maybe have some interest in learning about DeFi and could come to this movie. So I'm going to buy a block of tickets for Saturday's show. If it's not, it's been selling out pretty quick, even in Dayton, which is a smaller market. So I got to check and see how many seats are left, but my plan is to buy 10 or 20 tickets, go to these local clubs and give them, 5, 10 tickets per however many clubs I find locally to see, what their level of interest is and that they'd actually use the tickets. And then, and there's various things you can do to do that. Maybe there's a crypto club in your neighborhood. Maybe there's a group at a local university that likes to talk about cryptocurrencies or, alternative, the FIRE method that Crispy talks about all the time, with how to plan for retirement. Those groups exist, network with those groups, tell them about this movie. And then you are actually part of the solution and not just a spectator, right? That's like in the peanut gallery throwing Rotten Tomatoes. It's like, just like be part of the solution is what I would encourage everybody to do.
Awesome. ChrispyMan, are you going to get a chance to watch the documentary?
We'll see. I'm away during this period. I'm hoping
that's right.
it'll show up down in Georgia.
It's in Atlanta.
And maybe Savannah would be nice, but we'll see.
I know they broadened out. We started with 25. I think we're up to 40 cities. And then some of the cities that have sold out, they've already carried over to do a Sunday showing. So I think there's going to be more information that Pat and Grant will be releasing. I think they just did a Twitter thread, actually, right before we came on. But I didn't get a chance to read it. I'll throw the link up, Maddie, if you want to check it out.
I like the idea that it's being released in in theaters, but it's not necessary. But it's different and it's new.
Right.
So I say it's not necessary, but that's just kind of like an offhand observation. For whatever the team's plan is, maybe it's a necessary part of it. But I'm looking forward to when it is on some sort of streaming service, because that'll give me the ability to really get it around to more people.
Yep.
You just can't. I mean, I don't know. You guys go to movies anymore? I go to movies every month. Right.
We go to movies all the time. Yeah, we try to go at least once a month, maybe every 2 or 3 weeks.
But the fact is the theaters are closing and people don't go.
Right.
So that isn't probably the number one way to distribute any longer, right?
Well, that's what I was trying to explain, is like that this is a phase of the entire marketing plan.
Absolutely.
Because and in a weird way, we actually kind of stand out even more because people going to movies is it's not a thing of the past. It's just not as popular. I mean, when's the last time you've been in a full theater, right? Long time. It's like, I've gone to very, very popular movies and it's like maybe a third full, right?
Yeah.
So, to go to a sold out theater, not only is that just a cool experience for whoever happens upon that movie that might not be a Hexagon, right? And just like, what's this? And buys a ticket, like, holy shit, the theater's packed. This is crazy. Why are so many people into this? But also Regal and other theater companies and the box office list. That's the thing that Pat and Grant were talking about the other night with RG3 and Kinetics, I think, or where was it? Where were they? No, they were on Coffee Stream. They were talking about on Coffee Stream and about how there's a box office list, and maybe we only maybe we're the bottom of the list, but we're on the list, and on the top of that list is Mission Impossible, right? So it's like that's the thing. It's like that gets eyeballs for streaming services, which is phase 2 of the whole thing of how to do a global distribution of this. And the last piece is, how do you cut through the noise of those people at the streaming service that are getting, it's like I equated it to like the old days where, a band would be handing out their demo tape. It's like, hey man, can you check out my band? It's like, we've been killing it. It's like, check it out. It's like, we need to get signed. And like that goes in a drawer somewhere or just gets thrown away because they're so flooded with them. It's like, how many get listened to or paid attention to at all? And if it doesn't, if they do take a moment to listen to it and it doesn't resonate with them, it's dead. It's dead on arrival. It's like they're not going to pursue it. And there's so much content. There's so many things out there. So to not just be another email with an attachment or a link to our trailer, all of a sudden you're like, hey, here's box office numbers. Hey, here's video of people around the country showing up in droves to see this thing. Here's people live streaming about it. People are freaking out around the globe. It's like people were wanting to see it in other countries. All of that is where it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think I saw an email about that like 6 months ago. Like, what was that again? And then they start looking at it and they're like, oh, there's your numbers. This isn't just like some marketing attempt by a slick company that put a trailer together and it's like a handful of guys that own all the coins and they're just trying to make us complicit in some sort of scam. This is real people. This is a DeFi, grassroots, like libertarian style movement of like really human beings that want to take control of their own financial freedom, right? So it's like, I think all of that bodes well for, getting eyeballs and getting people, because it's like, it's not, I know this sounds super, I don't know, I'm not trying to like virtue signal or like act like I'm better than anybody. Of course I want the gains. Of course I would love to, do very well financially from all of this, but there's more to it than that. It's like, I joke that it's like, well, when I give HEX away or I spend hours and hours a week, I probably work more now than when I had a job onboarding and educating people off stream. My fiance, like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, well, it's like, I joke that like, well, it's no fun getting rich alone. But the other piece is like, I want people to have that freedom. I want other people to understand what it's like to take control of that. Coinbase sucks. I cannot, for almost 2 months now, send money to myself from Coinbase. They have basically gatekept me from sending my own money to myself. I can send it back off to a bank, but I'm so pissed off that I'm just like, nah, I'm like, I'll wait it out. I'll file another complaint. I'll file another support case. But for some arbitrary reason, they decided after 7 years, I can no longer use them as a fiat on-ramp to then send to my own MetaMask wallets that I've been sending to for years. So it's like that kind of stuff is so maddening. And then we've all had, I mean, there's tons of banking stories out there that are aggravating that everyone's been through. So to have people understand that there's another way and that it's not like pie in the sky, cypherpunk, like edge case bullshit. Like this is a movement, like this is happening. And it's like you are either going to be part of the DeFi revolution or you are going to get churned up in the wheels of CBDCs, right? Central bank currencies. And it's like digital currencies. And it's like not CBDs, CBDCs, right? Is that it? So central bank digital currencies, right? Yeah. So CBDs are different.
CBDCs, yeah.
CBDCs, right? So yeah, it's like you're going to get churned up in that machine, right? And then they're going to literally like look at what happened in Canada, where they like froze those truckers out of their bank accounts and stuff. It's like if they can turn a switch to turn your money on and off because they don't like how you're spending it, tell me that's not going to happen. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's like it's a real thing. I'm not trying to fear monger. I just like the idea of having, you know, my wallet in my mattress or my funds in my under my wallet or you know sewn into my mattress and my Trezor, right? Or whatever. It's like, you know, people used to hide cash in their backyard. It's like the same kind of thing. It's like I want control of my own money. I'm paying my taxes. I'm happy to do it. I'm a God-fearing like you know red, white, and blue American patriot. It's like I'm fine to live within the laws of the country. But I don't want my liberty taken away. And I think there's a lot of other people that feel like that. And I feel like if this is an opportunity to share that and educate them and open their eyes to those possibilities and them not feel so hopeless, that to me is worth way more than money. That's, you know, I'm not a Lambo guy. I'm not a Rolex guy. I want people to have like peace of mind and be able to like enjoy their families and like pursue passions that they have and not just trade all their time for like a job that they hate just to like pay bills and stay barely ahead of the curve. These are
I like
real
having
opportunities.
control of my crypto too.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So get down off the stump. My sermon is over. I get a little zealous. Me and Crypto Heartbeat should go on a nationwide tour of like, you know, fire and brimstone and handling snakes and drinking strychnine out of mason jars.
Yeah. I would get a ticket to that too.
Right?
Buy HEX.
There it is. So much simpler. I love Crispy.
A lot of what I've been thinking about lately, Toby, I'm watching a moth fly around my room. I've been thinking a lot about lately is just too much energy being put into trying to track all this stuff. And you know what a good answer for that is? Buy HEX. And then the better answer is to buy HEX and stake it in a ladder. And the ultimate would be that you had gotten in early enough, you delayed gratification long enough that you just don't care how much of it comes out because it's enough for everything you need. You know, like the ultimate dream, right? You know, that if you've done that. So it always comes back to that damn Richard Hart fellow.
What about him?
You know, and that advice that he gave and how he built it up over many instructional videos about how to win in crypto, and how even today, as I say this, somebody will post how it's all bullshit, except that it worked. And unless you didn't do it, then it didn't work. You know, so the whole, be careful about what you put in, be smart about it, pick something with good market product fit. Oh, by the way, stake it to overcome, you know, so you earn yield so you can overcome these ups and downs, you know? So anyways, you started out the whole conversation with kind of like, hey, what's the original way? What's the way we should be thinking about it? A lot of people down on maximalism, you know, down on the whole HEX thing. I think it's a huge opportunity because I agree that many people will think it's outdated to buy and stake HEX. And I think that can be huge upside to it. Huge upside.
It's not maximalism. It's just being pragmatic. It's like if you look at the history of this system, like where it came from and where it's likely going, Hex is the core of it. That's the core tenets. It's like if you look at any of these projects that sprang up around that ended up being vampire attacks or the shiny object or whatever you want to call them, good portion of those guys had big Hex staking ladders. How could they afford to go fuck around and do those other things? And they did their experiments, and some people did okay, and some people got wrecked, right? Like by chasing off on trying to do these other things. And those guys probably figured out pretty quick, like, oh, what Richard did is very unique, and it's not easy to duplicate that. And and people got ground up in that meat grinder, right? And it's like, so the thing is that people have to think like, it's kind of like with Richard and the outrage marketing. It's like, do what I say, not what I do, right? He didn't want you to go out and buy Lambos and flex Rolexes and do all that shit. He had a purpose behind it. He wanted you to DCA and stake and hodl and build new things if you felt like it, but things to support Hex, not necessarily to disperse the economic energy to 50 million different things. And I think it got boring. I think it was a perfect storm because like we have this prolonged bear market, right? People get bored. They like talking about stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's Hedron and Icosa staking and we can do this. And there's this HSI auction thing. And like, oh, look at what's happening over here with Buck Fiat's doing this thing with this.
Oh yeah, auctions. Blah, blah, blah. HSI auctions are freaking heating up again too now.
Yeah, there's all that stuff. And it's like, and it's cool. And I get it. And it's fun. But it's like, and I'm not saying it's something people shouldn't talk about. But I'm saying that there should be, don't get so distracted on all like the fancy frilly, outer dressings that you're not focused on the foundation, right? Because it's like if all of a sudden there's some cracks in the foundation and everyone's talking about like, hey man, did you see this new paint that I'm going to put on the back porch? It's like, well, if the foundation isn't being tended to, fuck your back porch, right? Like it's a house of cards. It's all going to go to shit. It's like if you don't pay attention to those core tenets. And I'm not saying that it's a big, it's all going to collapse and we're all ruined. What I'm saying is that the driving force behind all of this is Hex at the center of it as the best store of value ever created. That needs to be at the core of everyone's portfolio, in my opinion, not financial advice. That's what I'm doing. That's what I think makes sense. And then if you have the latitude to do this.
The best one?
Both of them, bro. I got a fuck ton on both chains. I got bags on my bags, and I'm happy about it. I'm going to buy more. It's like
I want to talk about EHEX.
Yeah. Okay.
And throw this at you. Hey, so for all I don't want to screw up Matty Allen's channel here and make all these people turn off the channel. I like EHEX a lot.
I like how you whispered it.
Hey, don't tell anybody.
Tell us more.
Matty, don't tell anybody.
Hey,
more. Let me throw this at you. So here, I'll give you my my thumbnail assessment, Toby, as we talk about this.
Sure.
At the moment, I believe it is correct that EHEX sell at a discount to HEX.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is that it does cost me more to transact on EHEX. I do not subscribe to this is the end of the world. I think it's a little self-serving to push everybody into buying HEX on Pulse at the top of the local top anyways, right? I think that's a little self-serving too, right?
Yes.
So let's go, but I digress, right? So I do believe that's why there should be a discount, and there is a discount. All right. So I've been following Ethereum a little bit lately, and I don't know if you guys have been following this. Is Ethereum dead? DED, is it dead? No, it's not dead. Ethereum's not dead. Do you expect Ethereum to be dead anytime soon? Anybody? Nope, I don't hear anybody say anything, right? There's probably somebody who will say, yeah, ETH is dead. But it's far from dead, right? That's my assessment. And, oh, by the way, they got this plan in place, right? Will they do it? I don't know if they'll do it, but they say they're going to reduce gas by 99%. So if gas gets reduced by 99%, what then, man? So anyways, I don't know if all that's going to happen. Probably an asymmetrical risk. But I'm not giving up my stuff on Ethereum anytime soon. Like when I say that, I'm not merging in staking everything so I can move it. I'm not doing all this other junk that people are suggesting I should do. Every once in a while, somebody will tweet at me. I'm going to hold out for it. I may even build my position a little bit further because what if that does happen? Now, I love Pulse Chain, but Ethereum's not going anywhere.
Yep.
Not that I can see. Not unless something changes. So, what do I want? I want to have as many TShares as I can. I have a lot of them over there, right? So I'm even building up a little bit. So I've had a huge opportunity with that. Of course, Maddie, this isn't financial advice, so don't you dare say it is.
Thank God.
No.
It's not
No.
financial. But here's the thing is, I mean, in my little bubble, my Pulse Chain bubble, this is sacrilege, right? Well, I should be only on Pulse, but I do have Hex over there, and I do think that there's some opportunity to bring a lot of people in, and I've been very short-sighted about that, by the way. Totally. I agree.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like, I mean, I think that's common, and it's understandable why there's been kind of this pendulum swing back and forth between supports, or that it's even a debate. It's like it's and plus it gets eyeballs, right? It's like if you say something hyperbolic on Twitter or on YouTube, you're gonna get more people to tune in and fight the other side of it or whatever, or rally around you because they agree, and everyone wants to get their pitchforks and they want to have a cause, right? So that's like basic human psychology bullshit. So, but if you just look at it mathematically, it's pragmatic and it makes sense. It's prudent, let's say, to I mean, I got a duplicate. So guess what? When we forked, I had exactly the same hex on both chains. At this point, I probably have 10% more hex on EHEX, or of EHEX than hex, because that's how I've chosen to deploy my capital. Now, since June, would I have done better, just in dollar terms, buying the EHEX low versus, wherever PHEX was at that point? I probably would have done better buying Pulse, hex on Pulse, but got way more TShares per dollar, over on the EHEX side. So I have about 10% more hex on the EHEX on the Ethereum side, but I now have about 20% more TShares on the Ethereum side. So I think that, because just like you were saying, Ethereum's not going anywhere. Sharding's happening. My shit's 15 years out, bro. It's like, do you think they're not going to have that solved by then? Do you think really it's going to cost you $100,000 to end a stake in 10 years? It's no, come on. It's like,
I mean, it depends if they fix the gas problem or not. If you use the gas calculator, yeah, it could.
Yeah, well, based on what they're doing now, but like if sharding gets done and other things, I mean, they're going to fight that fight, right? They're going to figure that out. I mean, I'm not saying it's ever that. I think Pulse is always going to be cheaper. Maybe they get it down to where it's a more reasonable sum, but the reality of it is just like Crispy was saying, it's like we are limiting the audience that can participate comfortably on the Ethereum chain because of the gas fees. I mean, I tweeted just the other day, my sister had a couple stakes that were coming out. One was $87 to end. The other was $88 to end on Ethereum.
Yeah.
Those same stakes to end on Pulse chain, 22 cents and 24 cents. So there's always going to be
$2,000 with $2,000 Ethereum and 15 Gwei. So it's like,
right.
You better pray that the bull market doesn't 10x those numbers.
Yeah, right. I mean, it could be crazy. But the thing is, too, is you got to think, like, for example, and I mean, this is not flexing. It's just because I'm too tired to divide it down to make it a more comfortable number for people. But whatever. I had some stakes that were literally $300,000 a piece. I had 4 of them in a row. I'm an idiot. I had them coming out one day, next day, because it was when I was early in Hex and I didn't know how to build a staking ladder, and I was just throwing stuff out there like a dipshit. Each of those stakes was worth about 300 grand, I think, or maybe collectively they were 300 grand, but whatever. It was a lot of money, but I can tell you the number I do remember. It was $1,500 to end each stake. So in 4 days, I spent $6,000 in Ethereum to end those 4 stakes. At the time, if they were worth 300 grand or 1.2 million or whatever it was, 6 grand, it's like, whatever, bro. It's like, I just crushed it. It's like, whatever my cost base. I mean, I just made bank on those. I'm like, I'm fine. Problem is, we're in the bottom of the bear. Like that, one of those stakes that my sister ended that cost her $87 or whatever, it was worth like $300.
Same.
Now,
yeah, my sister has a $300 one that just came out.
And it was like, what the fuck? So, I mean, like, had I been in a situation where my stake was, it had turned into $300,000 and it was $100,000 to end it, Well, maybe I didn't
Mm.
3x. You know, maybe that doesn't, I'm not whole. I'm not in profit at that point. At that point, maybe I'm losing, you know, because it's like I put in 200,000 for it to be worth 300,000, right? And then it's like now I got to pay another 100,000 to end it, so I'm break even after this long. That sucks. So yes, I mean it's like we got to watch the math. But my point is it's a new system over on Pulse Chain. You know, we have seen, and I'm not fudding Pulse Chain at all. I think we're fine. It's a copy of Ethereum 2.0. What, you know, in my opinion, like what could really go wrong? But you know, there's, you know, it requires adoption, and it requires confidence that it's going to continue forward. And we don't know, right? Like what's going to happen long term, if there's going to be where the new
Hey,
money's going to go, where the
you wanna talk about something super happy about that?
sure,
You- did you see the penalties today on Pulse Chain?
were they a shit ton?
Oh yeah, yeah, they're big.
I'll
So
take it.
we had
Thank you.
24.5 million in penalties on HEX and on Pulse Chain. And so if we didn't look into it at all, we would concede that I guess all of the stakers are giving up and getting out of Pulse Chain.
Right.
Their experience is so terrible, right?
It does.
However, that is not the truth. That would
No.
just be misleading people. You know, somebody figured out. I don't know if they're using bots for it or not. I was going to do a video on it, and I decided not to a couple days ago. But somebody figured out it's really cheap to transact on Pulse. Did you guys know that? It's really kind of cheap.
Yeah.
And so somebody liberated hundreds, I think, I didn't count them up, I go look, but hundreds of stakes that were 100% expired. Some of them they did before they were 100% expired, but most of them were 100% expired, and just liberated that 12 million hex.
Mm.
And so now, why is that important? It's kind of like this whole gas thing that we're talking about. I would never have done that on Ethereum. I didn't do it here, by the way, but I would have never done that on Ethereum, because that would have been thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah.
and staking fee or unstaking fees or good accounting fees, whatever. Oh, was it 24.5? Yeah, I'm sorry, I said 12. But you know, what was it? Maybe it was 50 cents, 25 cents, 10 cents to liberate hundreds of dollars worth of hex each time. And so we had a really nice payout today, which is pretty cool. I don't think you'll see any strong effects on the system in the near term, because it's just a drop in the bucket overall. But it's pretty cool to be a staker. It just seems like if you're a mining hex on either of the chains, you just keep winning.
Right.
You know, I just don't understand how I can just keep winning every time.
Yep. And the thing is, like, it's, I mean, yes, it's hex terms. It's in hex terms. However, you know, this is and maybe it's just my naivete. Maybe this can continue forever. But it's like, if you just start breaking down the numbers as far as like, okay, what's validating making me, right? What is yield farming making me, depending on the pool that you're in, and what is hex staking making me?
Oh,
Of
yeah,
those, you know, of the way that you look at those things, it's like yield farming's crushing it, like currently. However, there are some unknowns in there, and you never know about the unknowns, right? How long can that train keep going? Like, how good is it? Like, is ink really all it's cracked up to be? Will it be a use case? You know, am I accumulating ink from doing this and feeling so good about the yield that I'm making, where that money would maybe be better deployed in additional hex stakes, right? So that's one of the things that makes it, you know, a little murky as far as like, where do you allocate your resources? You know, so for me personally, and maybe this is blasphemy, maybe people are gonna be like, oh, you're one of the guys selling the Pulse price down. It's like, bro, trust me, I don't have that much Pulse. I've got a pretty good number of validators, but I'm not making a dent. But I will tell you that there has been a portion of that Pulse yield that I've gotten that I have put into my store of value. Now, some might say, well, wait a minute, man. It's like, we're only, like, even if you're like upper level sacrificer, you're only at like a 2x. How are you selling at a 2x after 2 years? Well, because I got bags and I continue to make more validating. So I would like to de-risk some of that. And for me, de-risking it is putting it into Hex as a store of value where I'm going to get Hex yield for years to come. And I'm confident that that's going to go up. And I've actually even diversified some of those validator yield payouts to EHEX and PHEX. So call me crazy, but you know,
I'm with you.
working.
I'm with you. I'm seeing this too. My, you know, I hang around with some some people. I go down all the alleys, right?
From the
But
crack dealing days, I get it, right?
yeah, it's always the rock. It's always the rock. So
Slinging
yeah,
them.
I have tried, and I'm involved in a whole bunch of different stuff. But all roads lead back to HEX, right? And so what do I mean by that? I'm validating. I like validating. Puts my pulse to work. But if I had new dollars, would I put it into validating? Maybe not, right? More work, a little bit more risk, a little bit less dependable on APY, right, or APR. Would I farm it? Same thing, right? Different set of rules, but depending on what asset I'm talking about. I love the farming, by the way, man. I love it. I do. I'm doing pretty well. And now I have multiple choices to farm in multiple dexes, but all of them have a variation of that same risk where at some point, you know what, 15, 20% in HEX might be better than anything else I can get anywhere else. And certainly if I match that up with risk. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Toby. That's why I keep thinking people are going to come back to that. Even with the newer stuff, shout out to all those people without naming them. Love what they're building. Love that they're doing all these different things. I'm involved in some of it. Makes people happy and they're excited about it. Yeah, we can argue it takes money away from value away from other things, but I'm hearing people come back from those experiences going, it's not exactly what I thought. It's, more detail in a different direction and more risk in a different direction. And that's good. Maybe some people do that and keep doing it. Maybe some people won't. Maybe it'll work out for everybody. But I think in general, right, I'm just seeing slices of people coming back saying, yeah, it might be easier for me just to stake HEX.
Would anybody ever consider like a
know.
farmer, like a real farmer, like out there in middle America, like the bread belt, whatever, feeding the world, lazy? I don't think so. I don't think that's a thing that pops to mind.
Farmers are not lazy.
You think that they're
Yeah,
sweaty, dirty?
They're
God
not.
bless
They're
them.
not farmers for long if they're lazy.
Yeah, right, right.
What?
So the deal is like, the term is stake and chill, not farm and chill, right? It's like stake and chill. There's a reason that exists, because you can literally chill. It's like my LP positions and where I'm yield farming, those are managed. Like I'm watching those, right? And it's like, and I feel pretty confident that I'm positioned well, and the ones that I'm in, I feel really good about. But the reality is that impermanent loss will eat your fucking lunch real quick if you're in the wrong pair at the wrong time, if you get in and out at the wrong time. So therefore, you have to watch it like a hawk, because if it goes against you, and it's almost like selling as, on red candles, like shaking out the weak hands type of deal. But the difference is you can be infinitely wrecked, right? Like you can lose all of your, not all of it, but let's say you got your pulse or pulse X in a pair with some other thing, and all of a sudden, that other thing starts to tank, and your thing starts to moon. Well, you end up with less of your thing. So all of a sudden, it's like, oh my god, it's like you're effectively dollar cost averaging out, and maybe you didn't want to do that, right? It's like, oh my god, I just lost all of my pulse, and now I have all this ink, right? And it's like ink's turned into like be a pipe dream, and it's, I mean, not saying that, but I'm just saying as an example, right? Or you're in let's say there was pulse in a WBTC pair or something, and you really thought that was going to take off, but let's and it does, or it doesn't, and pulse takes off, and then all of a sudden you're ended up with a ton of pulse PBTC or whatever the fuck it's called. So those things that's not chilling, that's working, and that's stressful. And there are situations where, the ink, depending on the price of ink at the time and how much you earned, will offset that impermanent loss. But that's a longer term game. So you better be ready to like be strapped in and like have confidence that what you're in is going to be, is going to be close to the ratio you're comfortable with. Because I've heard people say like, well, I'm confident in both coins. I'm happy if I have more of either. Well, are you? If like one really, really takes off and you end up with way less of it because you had it paired to the other one that you were happy to have more of?
Of course not.
And it's right. And then you, on paper, like you would have been so much better just holding both than like trying to chase the farming yield. So that's my thing, is like, in a weird way, like the farming yield is kind of like our own little shiny thing. So we don't shit on it as much because it's our shiny thing. And but there's risk there, right? And it's like, and it's calculated. Like for me, it's calculated risk. For others, I hope that they're considering that. Where, and the reason, just like I was saying earlier, where people can take chances on some of these other things, it's because they have the foundation of a solid hex staking ladder. I got a rock solid hex staking ladder I'm very happy with, right? So it's easy for me to go kind of dabble in these other things and take those risks because I've calculated the risk. Other people are like trying to like catch up, or I don't know what they're doing. It's the same people that are chasing meme coins, I think, in some regard. You got to be careful. And I can't say it enough. It's like, I really think it's imperative that you have a good hex staking ladder in place before that you start to dabble in some of these other things that could wreck your bags. So I mean, just be careful. Stake wisely, chill when you can. Try to have some balance in your life when it comes to all this stuff. Because it's like, Crispy and I've talked about this before. It's like, there's too much shit. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Oh, I got to figure out, I've got my HSIs and my Wattses and my Hedron stakes and my Icosa stake. It's like so much to manage after a while. It's like, for me, I'm kind of, as things have gone on, I've consolidated back to just having like my basics, right? Just my core stuff. And, but I think everyone has to go through that own cycle and see if it works or doesn't for them. Some of those things I came out ahead on, some I didn't. But I just generally, as a rule, feel better long-term, just having a healthy staking ladder and then taking a portion of, my yield from other things and dabbling, where I've weighed the risk.
So let me get this straight. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning and ChrispyMan is going to be shilling PepeFire.io, and it's not going to change its name.
I might.
Tobiwan
Right.
Hexobi or something like that.
Oh, wait. I like that one too. I like Ngobi.
Dude, did you guys, Maddie, you were probably trying to hopefully get some rest, but did you see when I was on with Tangent on the last 48-hour live stream?
I don't.
Dude, we
I
came
might have
up with
caught
like
part of it.
Dude, we came up with like 10 different shit coins. It was so funny. We were
Oh my
both just like
God.
laughing, almost crying, and it's like, and it was like like we would legit like pivot to like, oh well, this would be a good time to mention, Baby Got Back coin, and we'll be launching that. It was so cheesy and funny, and we had such a good time with it. But it's funny because it's true. It's like, how many people have you seen that like seem like stalwart like hexagon core guys, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, check out this thing. It's like, it could pump. Check it out, whatever. And it's like, oh, you guys are just missing the point altogether. And it's so it's like laugh or cry, right? It's the nature of crypto. Those things are going to happen, but I would not want that stress. I mean, I would never create a coin. There's just like I can't do it, dude.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Tangent's great though. I'm excited that he'll
Tangent's
be
awesome.
participating again in the 48-hour live stream coming up.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 weeks or whatever it is. And that'll be something to look forward to.
I'm stoked, man. I'm excited.
Go Tangent. I watch him quite a bit. I think he mistook me one time for somebody else. So he was like, I think he said something like, I think that guy shills non-RH coins. And I'm like, that's no way.
No, wrong guy.
No, wrong guy. Hey, somebody asked about this. If you would show it, Matt, it'd be great. I threw the chart up there. This is I've been working on this whole TShare thing, and this will look super boring to everybody. I had to really drill into a short time frame here, to look at a very short time frame. But essentially, here's the too long. Don't listen to me for too much speech. TShare rates on both chains pretty much the same, and according to the predictive model, they're going to be pretty close going forward. EHEX will just be a little bit higher than PX, but with that, I do a stream every week where we talk about increases that are coming, and we do have a large-ish change coming here in October. I got to reset my screen here, where I am expecting to see about a 400 change on both chains right here in August. And we're hitting, looking at these longer term targets. We'll hit 32,000 on both chains by the end of the month, or by the end of the year, excuse me. So there's a lot of different things going on. And then for those who think nothing's going on with HEX, we're well into the billions of HEX stakes since the fork on both chains. And so we're not really losing in terms of number of addresses participating, but we do have fewer addresses, unique addresses on the Ethereum side. But overall, we still have some pretty good adoption. So I haven't really seen that fall off at all. And so that's been pretty good. But yeah, I mean, system's working as expected, even though we forked it. Even though we forked it really hard, it's
Fork
so
the shit out of it.
We forked the shit out of it. It's there's always the visual I look for.
Sorry, man, it's getting late for me. I'm like getting a little slap happy.
Getting punchy.
Yeah, get a little. Yeah, right. I think I live punchy. Hey, I'm gonna do something crazy. Like super crazy, and I would love to get some feedback. I'm gonna talk to Pat later this week and kind of pick their brains because they're like experts in this whole arena. I bought some box sets. So
nice.
What I want to do is in Austin on August 4th, because that's the only day I'm going to be there. I need to come up with some sort of contest to figure out how to give one away to like somebody that's coming to Austin, right? And then I'm going to do another one August 5th in Dayton. So now the box sets aren't coming out until later this summer. However, we'll get your info, what we can do for OPSEC and whatever, whomever wins. I'll put you in touch directly with Highest of Stakes, and it will ship from them directly to you. So I don't need to know what your real name is, where you live, any of that crazy business, But I want to do that just to kind of like, share the love a little bit. And it's like I'm excited about it, and I think it'd be like a cool thing to have. I bought some for myself and for gifts for friends and family. And I thought, I'm going to buy a few more and maybe do a little giveaway-ish stuff. So I thought it'd be fun to do that. I don't know if it's like coolest HEX outfit or I don't know, something cheesy. And then there was a really, really good idea that Cabana pitched me that I'm actually going to talk about with the team to maybe do a third box set giveaway that could be like nationwide, like to incentivize people to like fill up their local theaters. So stay tuned for that. I think that'll be kind of a fun little thing to kind of get people interested. It's a nice gift, and it's like it always feels fun winning stuff. It's like I won a free massage from my chiropractor's office the other day. It's the first time I've won anything in like years, and I was elated. It's like I got a 30-minute free massage. I like was freaking out like I hit the lotto. So it always feels good to win stuff.
It took 30 minutes.
Yeah, I got a 30-minute massage. Dude, that girl worked me over. It was like, talk about deep tissue. I thought she was like hitting my bone marrow. It's like I've been crippled all freaking day. It's like if it wasn't for an Epsom salt bath, I wouldn't have made it to the stream tonight. So, but guys, I'm sorry. I told Maddie I could only make it an hour. I've been on about an hour and a half. I got an early thing I have to tend to tomorrow. I really wish I could stay on with you guys because I love talking to you about all this stuff. One final prediction. And I will tweet about this maybe tomorrow in my TA tweets. I'm going out on a limb here and saying that things are lining up for PHEX in particular, because those are not charts I typically post because it's not readily available on TradingView. So I have to fuck around on Deck Screener, and then I lose all my drawings. I have to start from scratch every time. It's looking to me like we're at support on the daily right now for Pulse, for PHEX. There's a new channel forming for EHEX, which I hinted at in my tweet today. If you want to go to Tobiwan_Hexobi on Twitter, you can see my daily TA tweet today. A new channel that's kicking up. It's more vertical or more upward ascending channel than the previous channel. I think that's more or less confirmed, or will be by the end of the day tomorrow. So we're basically at support on both hexes. For PHEX, what I'm looking at is oddly, like by the premiere, if this channel plays out the way that I think, it would put us at a new all-time high for HEX on Pulse. So the high that I saw for HEX.
What does that
Pulse,
mean? What does that mean?
We were at 4.3 cents.
Oh, so not 56 cents.
Not yet. On PHEX. PHEX has never been at 56 cents, right? So HEX on Pulse.
I don't know. It depends how you look at it, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Hey, so I think that we're going to be there, and then depending on the ratio of where it is with EHEX, then if we're still at a 2-to-1 or thereabouts, then you're looking at probably about a 2.5 cent EHEX. So cumulatively 7-cent hex. For those that know the history, 7 cents is kind of an interesting area for hex. So something to stay tuned for. We'll see if I'm right. But it'd be fun if I was, right? So,
Cool.
but I got to bounce. But thanks, Maddie, for
All right.
always doing
Thanks
what
for
you
being
do.
here.
And we'll talk more
Appreciate
about
you.
all the fun stuff for Austin. I can't wait to see you.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Crispy.
All right,
See
we'll
you,
see you,
buddy.
Toby.
Take care of yourself, man. Hey, and I'm signing back up for your Patreon. I got a new credit card I'm going to use for that kind of stuff. So I'm coming back.
All right. Does it have your name on
Do
it?
it.
That doesn't matter.
No, it
We'll
does
see you
not,
later.
actually.
I'm joking.
It's,
I'm joking.
It's,
Goodbye.
it's McLovin from Superbad.
Yeah, McLovin. All
All
right.
right. See you guys. Ciao.
All right, we'll see you. Damn, Maddie. Woohoo.
Which way am I? Okay.
10,000x, baby.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah,
down
I'll
with
tell you
that.
listen, guys, I mean, I do have another pet peeve. I won't keep you long, I guess, but my other pet peeve lately is way too many moonish things. I try to keep my mouth shut when I see it. I like the idea of being moonish. I'd like to see a 10,000x on Pulse.
That'd be cool.
But don't know how. I don't know. I try to set aside my skepticism because I would like to see it. Why? Because I'd probably be uber rich, right? So of course I'd like to see it. But I think there is a little bit of danger in being overly bullish to the point that, if we remember, because I felt this way, overly bullish to the point that people buy the top, right?
Sure.
I mean, I certainly personally would feel bad if I
can't
got
stop
used by
people
the
from buying the top, otherwise it wouldn't be the top. So it's like
I know.
very
I know.
circular to say like you want to stop people from buying the top. People buy the top. Look, how many of us bought the top in our first cycle?
I bought the
did.
top. I know.
Yes. 100%
know.
of the people on the screen right now bought the top in their first cycle.
We're still here.
Yeah.
I know. All right, I'll let that go. Well, just saying.
But I mean, people who think that they're going to get a short-term payoff. Now, that's where I would feel bad if people were misled in that direction. And so, people who are gambling, putting in money that they can't afford to lose or can't afford to hold in a long-term situation. And it's a miracle any of this stuff works. We were putting the Time Pays Me website up, and my router stopped me from loading the page. And we figured out that nowadays it's not just external servers that are deciding whether you can access a web page. Actually, your router is saving a cached version of websites. And that blew me away. I was like, what? You mean I have to unplug my internet and plug it back in, and that removes the cache of like the old website that we had? What? Like, so even just getting a web page to load, any web page is more of a miracle than some people might recognize. And sure enough, it worked out just fine. And it's not, but that's not unique to Time Pays Me. That's the entire internet is like hanging by a string. And so I think it's really cool that crypto is where it's at, and I think it's got a big future ahead. And so, but I think that there's gonna be lots of volatility, and my emotions are gonna not every day do I wake up and I believe in crypto all the way.
Well, why is it that people kind of lost the bubble on this? I mean, I know others talk about it. I think about doing some streams on the topic. Buying the top is fine if you are prepared to wait.
Yeah.
Right. Because, and why do I say that? It's because when you're DCAing, you don't know when the damn top is. Mostly you don't.
Correct.
And you end up buying a little bit before. It's like some of the guys chat saying, I bought Bitcoin. I didn't think Bitcoin was worth buying when it was less than 1,000, but I bought in the thousands. I bought at 1,500 and I bought at 2,000. I bought all the way up to 20,000. I think I bought at 17,000, but then I bought it all the way down. Right. All the way back down to 3. And then I bought it all the way back up to 10, and I did very well. right? And so, but how long did that take? That was like a 4-year journey. I mean, I didn't just, it was almost 5 years. I didn't dispose of all my stuff until end of 21, 22,
Mm.
between the sacks and everything, right? Anyways, my point is with a long enough time horizon, and assuming the past sort of rhymes with the future rhymes with the past, and things go upward and to the right, then
Mhm.
it can be okay. It's not terrible, not terrible.
Yes.
But
Yeah, and then there's sometimes no other way.
well, yeah, particularly if the timing is when you get in, right?
Yeah.
If you're one of the guys that comes in on the wave when it's on the way up, I mean, you have no choice. You're either gonna get in or you're gonna wait. You're gonna have to be, which you're not gonna want to do because you're new and you don't know about it. You're not gonna sit there and go, "Huh, it looks like we're at the top, so I'm gonna sit on my money for a year and a half and wait for the bottom." It's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not how people react,
And then a
Yeah.
year and a half later, then you've lost all your conviction because it's been going
Yeah, because
down
you're
for a
like,
year and a half.
you have
Yeah.
off chasing something else, right? Or whatever, chasing ass or something. How worried about whether or not crypto's coming back. Yeah, it's funny.
But I definitely hear you that that even if there's one person out there who bought the top, didn't DCA, like is butthurt about it, it bothers me. And I just have to keep reminding myself, what I went through and what's typical. And that again, it's really a long enough time horizon, picking the right thing can do amazing things. When you look at the downside is negative 100%. It's like that in lots of things. Stocks.
Hmm.
It's like that in gambling. It's like that in putting your money in a bank. It turns out Cyprus got a 70% haircut back in the day, um, on their bank deposits. So so these things can happen where you have a negative 100% risk in lots of things, and that maybe has a varying percentage of probability. But then you've got an area like crypto where you've had 5 things in the history of crypto go up 10,000x or higher. And if you picked one of those 5 things, then the upside is, I'm not going to say infinite, but it's almost unimaginable. And so I think that is an important point to keep in mind when you're considering, oh, the market went down 70% or it went down 98% and now it's getting back up. And that's, I think that's another thing that I never thought it would go this low, but when the price goes this low, that's an opportunity for value to be transferred from the impatient to the patient. If you think it has a future, if you don't think it has a future, then move out of the way for all the people who do think it has a future, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
people will place their bets and will be rewarded or punished accordingly. But you're as long as you're not leverage trading, you're not going to lose more than 100% of what you put in. And so I would recommend not putting in, although it's not financial advice, don't put in more than you're willing to lose.
Always, right? Isn't that how we start the conversation?
Oh yeah.
No, never put in more than you're willing to lose. Hey, by the way, you have to have a long time horizon.
That's right.
Dips are in the game.
That's right.
Volatility is expected. And immediately, oh my God, I lost everything. It's down to zero. Why did the price go down? Oh, Jesus. When's somebody going to tell me the price goes up and down again? I don't know. Yeah, we hear it all the time. We hear it from people all the time. I just finally conclude that crypto is not for everybody. I mean, it's there for anybody who wants to use it, but it's not for everybody because it can be a little tough.
I mean,
a little tough.
I like to tell myself that even if I gift somebody $100 worth of Pulse or $100 worth of Hex, and if that gift is time locked, I like to think that that person is pretty set when it comes to crypto. And you know, maybe some people would say, "Oh no, you need more than that," or whatever. But I feel pretty good when I onboard somebody, even at that relatively small level. It's cool.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Just thinking about the potential upside, assuming, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't think crypto was going to keep going, right? Or had a chance, I
Yeah.
should say this, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't think crypto had a chance in hell of continuing, then I wouldn't be in crypto, right? Makes sense? If I thought it was going to fail, I wouldn't be in, right? And I certainly wouldn't be in for 15 years. So I have so I believe there's an opportunity here, and that we have more of a chance of it lasting than not lasting. I think that's how I feel
Yeah.
about it.
Totally. And yeah, I wouldn't be getting ready to time lock all my stuff for so long either if it wasn't for that. And the other thing that I'll tease is my team is trying to get the behavior locking stuff on the front end before the conference coming up in 2 or 3 weeks. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if we're going to be able to do it or not, but people will see me probably do some examples of what that might look like. And so I've already been putting my plan together of what I would want to share publicly about things, behaviors that I want to change, where I'm paying myself. I'm recruiting somebody else in the community to be my behavior validator to show that I've made this change, and to reward me with the password to my funds so I don't have to wait a whole year. And one of the interesting things that I realized when I was making that plan is that I kind of want to test using one of my behavior lock rewards in stablecoin and one in Pulse, because I think that I would be highly motivated by the fiat, which I know will be suffering from inflation, and I might be more. I want to see how motivated I am to get that fiat back out of the lock so it doesn't have to sit there for a year and go down in value like 10 or 20% in purchasing power. So that'll be something fun to see. I don't know how I don't know how motivating it's going to be, but I'm definitely going to be eating my own dog food, because I think that in order to make the behavior locking particularly powerful, I might be doing anyway to time lock like pretty much the majority of my liquid funds. And so that way I'll be extra hungry for the reward. So it's gonna be fun to roll out and see how it goes.
Sweet. In a future session, we should talk. Maybe not for this stream, but we should talk about utilizing Pulse Chain to accomplish some of the other behavioral stuff and reward systems you wanted to do,
Mm,
and dig into
that'd be
that a little
cool.
bit further.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, like, Hex is the original example of being able to program your savings behavior.
mhm,
And
mhm.
paying your future self, that's a behavior, right? Of being able to hodl. And using a smart contract for that with Hex is I think what's gotten a lot of us here. So I'm excited to see what else can be branched out into.
Yeah, yeah. I would love. This is going to be uh, borderline centralized, not crypto speak. But I often do think about what could it be like to have an app, that, and this is where the part about being centralized comes, because the fact that you have an app and it's got to be outside and on a website and or take data feeds from the real world and interactions to the real world. What it'd be like to, let's oversimplify it. If you had a checklist of things you're supposed to do,
Mm,
and you just trusted that Maddie's going to check the boxes when he really does something, and he doesn't check it when he doesn't do something, so that it's accurate. Just assume that for a moment, and then you provide incentive for that, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. You've talked about before. How cool that would be. Now that becomes much less problematic with lower gas costs.
Mhm.
Much less problematic with the ability to subdivide the reward into multiple decimals that aren't significant dollars and don't have to be a lot. But because it's crypto, it potentially provides an incentive that over time the value gains, right?
Yeah.
And so in the new world that we're in, and I think this is what you were kind of saying too, or at least a frame of it, is that you could do that with Hex now and Pulse. We are actually in this
Yeah.
situation today where you could do
Yes.
that.
Absolutely. And if you're using Deci, you could be earning yields along the way.
Could be fun stuff.
So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that conversation here in the future. And now, is there anything else that we should discuss here before we wrap up for the night?
Well, one thing I'll mention for those who, because I still think these HSIs are a huge deal right now, regardless of how I feel or may not feel about certain parts of it. Just like Deci is, I think, still at a discount. HSIs are still selling at a discount. Those are these 15-year stakes. There's some sort of a big event that's taking place. It has to do with supply of when people put HSIs in for auction. So there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of TShares coming up for auction over the next few weeks. I didn't do a count on them. You can go to some of the websites and grab them. But what we saw the last time this happened is like an 80% discount. What does that mean? What does 80% discount means? It means if you were to buy the hex necessary to stake for Quattro Cinco today, of the equal size, it would cost you a lot more, to actually buy the hex. But this is the end of this glut, and I think they'll be gone. And so on the one hand, from system perspective, maybe it takes away some buying pressure, right? As we've talked about in the past, right? But from a person perspective, big opportunity for people that might be interested in picking up more HSIs. So that would be the only thing I'd throw out there, because I think once those are done, they'll become much less thing in our future. I mean, they'll still be out there, still be taking place, but it's been this 2-year distribution phase, really.
Wow.
Or almost of how that. And I'm probably not using all the right words, so all you guys in that area don't get pissed off at me. I'm just saying it's been a little bit over a year and a half since it launched, and originally, and now, not that it's gone, but it's just that the big auction events and stuff seem to be fading off.
Well, that's certainly worth mentioning if there's a 5x discount there.
Yeah, I've seen some people pick up, I know a couple people, I won't use names, that became dolphins. That's how much
Right
they
on.
bought in that fashion. That's pretty good. I like that.
Cool.
Swimming with the dolphins, Maddie.
That's right.
But rather that than the sharks. I don't know.
Well, everybody out there, make sure to get your hardware wallet. I've got a link in the description below. Timepays.me is live. You can check that out. You can go hit the like and subscribe button on this channel, as well as ChrispyMan's channel, which is linked in the description below. We've got his Patreon in there as well. You can go to hexfire.io to get the best stats when it comes to Hex. And we've got thehighestofstakes.com/screenings is where you can find your local movie theater to see the greatest crypto documentary of all time, I hope. And let's see. Then if you're in the Austin area, go to plsaustin.com or tell a friend. That'll be really exciting. I'm going to be streaming every Tuesday and Thursday night still. So you'll catch me for Hex Therapy Live in 2 nights. And until then, anything else, ChrispyMan?
Nothing else on my end. Yeah, highest of stakes. Do it. Go see it.
Do
Go
it.
to one of the meetups if you can. You know.
Oh yeah,
Come check
Chicago
out-
meetup this
Yeah,
weekend.
come check
PulseChainTour.com.
out Hex. Yeah, check that out. That's it.
Awesome.
I'm good.
Well, until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.